Hello everyone. I want to begin by asking you a question. Have you ever felt like your mind is running the show? But you're not the one in control. You wake up already behind. You're scrolling through your phone before you've even had a glass of water. And somehow, by 10 a.m., the day is already deciding your mood for you. We talk a lot about mindset, about positive thinking, productivity hacks, morning routines. But let's go deeper. Let's talk about mentality. Because mentality isn't just how we think, it's how we choose to show up. So here are 5 ways to improve your mentality, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. When we talk about improving mentality, one of the most powerful shifts we can make is to start with our why. This isn't just about setting goals or achieving success, it's about digging into the deeper purpose behind what we do. Too often, we go through life on autopilot. We wake up, check our phones, respond to demands, and move from task to task without ever asking ourselves, why am I doing this? What is the deeper meaning behind this job, this relationship, this habit? When you don't know your why, life can feel heavy. Every challenge becomes a burden, every setback feels like a failure, and even success can feel hollow. But when you start with your why, when you connect your actions to a sense of purpose, your mentality changes completely. You're no longer just grinding through the day. You're moving with intention. You're showing up with clarity. For example, imagine a nurse who works long, exhausting shifts. If her focus is only on checking off tasks or surviving the day, burnout is inevitable. But if she reminds herself that her deeper why is to comfort and heal others in their most vulnerable moments, that sense of purpose fuels her. It doesn't make the job easier, but it makes the work more meaningful, and meaning builds mental resilience. Starting with your why means you become less reactive to the noise around you. You stop measuring your worth by what others expect, and start defining it by your own values. That internal compass, your why, helps you make better decisions, set stronger boundaries, and stay grounded during stressful times. This shift also expands your ability to lead. People are drawn to those who operate from purpose. When you live and work with your why at the center, it inspires others to do the same. It's not just about what you're doing. It's about the message your life is sending. So if you're serious about improving your mentality, don't just change your habits. Go deeper, ask yourself, what drives me? What do I believe in? What impact do I want to have? The answers may not come overnight. But once you begin that journey, your mindset will never be the same. One of the most subtle but damaging habits we develop is comparison. It creeps into our thoughts without warning. When we scroll through social media, when we hear about someone else's success, or when we feel like we're not far enough along in life. Comparison is a thief. It steals joy, drains energy, and weakens mentality. And the worst part, it disguises itself as motivation. It tells us that if we just worked harder or were more like them, we'd finally be enough. But here's the truth. Comparison pulls your attention away from what truly matters, your own growth and your ability to contribute. Contribution is the antidote to comparison. When your focus shifts from what do they have that I don't, to how can I serve today, your entire mindset transforms. You stop thinking about being better than others and start thinking about being useful to others. There's a story I once heard about 2 runners. One kept checking where the other was, constantly looking over his shoulder. The second runner, he stayed focused on his lane. Guess who finished first? The one who ran his own race. That's what contribution does. It keeps you focused on what's within your control, not on someone else's highlight reel. Contribution isn't just about doing grand things. It can be as small as offering encouragement, sharing your story, giving your full attention in a conversation, or doing your work with care and integrity. When you choose to contribute, you give your energy a direction, and energy with direction is powerful. It reinforces your sense of purpose and builds a resilient, healthy mentality. Contribution also quiets the ego. The ego feeds on comparison. It wants validation and applause, but contribution feeds the soul. It reminds you that your value isn't based on how you stack up against others, but on what you're able to give. And paradoxically, when you focus on giving instead of getting, you often receive more in return. deeper relationships, stronger self-worth, and a sense of peace that can't be shaken by someone else's success. So the next time comparison sneaks in, pause. Don't ask, why am I not like them? Ask, how can I help today? That small question holds the power to change not just your mood, but your mindset, and ultimately your life. In a world that celebrates networking, likes, followers, and digital connections, we often confuse quantity with quality. We pride ourselves on how many people we know, but very few of those relationships actually go beneath the surface. This kind of shallow interaction can leave us feeling more isolated than ever, even when we're constantly connected. But to truly improve your mentality, to build the kind of mental strength that lasts, you need more than just connections. You need relationships, real, authentic human relationships. You see, mentality is not built in a vacuum. We are social beings, and much of our internal strength is shaped by the people we surround ourselves with. The difference is simple: transactions are about what you can get. Relationships are about what you can build, and that mindset shift from taking to building can change everything. Think about the people who lift you up, the ones you can be vulnerable with, the ones who tell you the truth even when it's uncomfortable. Those are the people who help shape a healthier mentality. You don't leave those conversations drained. You leave them feeling more grounded, more seen, more connected. That kind of emotional safety strengthens your mind. It gives you perspective when you're overwhelmed, encouragement when you're uncertain, and accountability when you're slipping. Now, that doesn't mean you need 100 deep relationships. Even a few strong connections can make a huge difference, but you have to be willing to go there. You have to take the time to listen without distraction, to be present, to care without keeping score. Real relationships are built with intention, not convenience. There's also a surprising benefit to this approach. When you stop treating people as means to an end and start valuing them for who they are, your own sense of worth begins to grow. Why? Because giving authentic attention and empathy reminds you that you have something valuable to offer. You're not just someone seeking validation. You're someone capable of giving it, and in turn, your mentality becomes more resilient. You don't get as shaken by criticism, rejection, or loneliness, because you've built a foundation of real connection. Not followers, not fans. People, the kind who remind you that you're not alone, and never have to be. In our fast-paced world, we've been conditioned to react quickly, automatically, and often emotionally. Notifications pop up, emails demand responses, conversations get heated, and before we know it, we've said something we regret, agreed to something we didn't want, or let anxiety take over. But there's a powerful habit that can completely shift your mentality: the simple, intentional pause. The pause is underrated. It's not just about slowing down, it's about reclaiming control. Most people believe mental strength is about pushing harder or thinking faster. But often, the strongest move is the stillest one. The pause gives us space to breathe, to reflect, and to choose our response instead of defaulting to our habits. And in that space, something transformative happens. You become the one in charge of your thoughts instead of your thoughts being in charge of you. Let's take a common example. Someone says something that frustrates you. Your instinct might be to snap back, defend yourself, or shut down. But what if just for a second you paused, took a breath, allowed the emotion to pass through instead of acting on it immediately? In that tiny gap between stimulus and response lies your power. Not just to de-escalate the situation, but to choose a mindset rooted in calm, confidence, and clarity. The pause doesn't only apply in moments of conflict. It works when you're feeling overwhelmed too. When your to-do list is a mile long and your brain is racing, the pause allows you to ask, what actually matters right now? Instead of reacting to everything, you respond to what's essential. That shift alone can protect your peace and restore your focus. Practicing the pause also builds self-awareness. You start to notice your triggers, your patterns, and your inner dialogue. You catch yourself before falling into old ways of thinking. That's the beginning of real growth, not just changing what you do, but understanding why you do it, and perhaps most importantly, the pause creates room for empathy. When you stop and consider where someone else might be coming from, you shift from judgment to understanding. That mindset doesn't just improve your relationships, it improves your entire outlook on life. In a reactive world, the pause is revolutionary. It's not weakness, it's wisdom, and the more you practice it, the more mentally strong, emotionally intelligent, and authentically grounded you become. We live in a world obsessed with speed. Everywhere you look, there's pressure to be faster, better, more efficient. We celebrate overnight success stories, quick wins, instant results. But the truth is, anything meaningful, whether it's building character, mastering a skill, or improving your mentality, takes time. And one of the most powerful shifts you can make for your mindset is to trust the process, not the pace. When we focus too much on the pace, we start measuring ourselves against timelines that often aren't even ours. We see someone else achieve something by 25, and we panic. We hear someone learned a language in 30 days, and we feel behind. But mentality doesn't grow on someone else's timeline, it grows on yours, and just because it's taking longer doesn't mean you're failing. It often means you're building something deeper, something more real. Trusting the process means letting go of the illusion of control. It means accepting that growth is not always visible. Sometimes the most important changes are happening beneath the surface, quietly, gradually, like roots growing underground before a tree breaks through the soil. If you keep pulling the seed out every day to check on it, it'll never grow. The same goes for your mind. Progress isn't always linear. Some days you'll feel strong and clear. Other days doubt will creep in and you'll question everything. That's okay. Mental growth is not about feeling good all the time. It's about showing up, especially when it's hard. Every time you choose consistency over comfort, every time you push through a setback instead of giving up, you're building a stronger mindset. What really matters is commitment. Can you keep going when it's not exciting anymore? Can you stay faithful to the small steps, even when no one's watching or clapping? That's where mentality is forged. In the quiet moments, the daily decisions, the unseen effort. When you trust the process, you give yourself permission to be patient. You stop rushing and you start respecting your own journey. You begin to understand that timing isn't a threat, it's a teacher. And with that kind of mindset, you not only become more resilient, but you also become more compassionate with yourself. So slow down, breathe, keep going. The work you're doing matters, even if it hasn't paid off yet. The process is shaping you, and that's more powerful than any pace ever could be. Improving your mentality isn't just a personal upgrade. It's the foundation of effective leadership. Whether or not you consider yourself a leader, the truth is we all influence others. Every interaction you have is an opportunity to lead your family, your team, your friends, even strangers. And the quality of that leadership is directly tied to the state of your mindset. When you strengthen your mentality, you don't just show up better for yourself. You show up better for everyone around you. Leadership doesn't start with strategy, it starts with presence. People follow those who are grounded, not just gifted. They trust those who are consistent, not just charismatic. And that inner strength comes from the work you do on your mentality, your habits of thought, your ability to regulate emotion, your resilience in the face of uncertainty. Think about it. When your mind is cluttered, anxious, or reactive, it becomes very difficult to lead with clarity. You may make decisions out of fear instead of vision. You may communicate defensively rather than openly. But when your mentality is strong, when you know your purpose, when you stay calm under pressure, when you choose growth over ego, you create a space where others feel safe, inspired, and empowered. What separates great leaders from good ones isn't just knowledge or skill, it's emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is a byproduct of a healthy mindset. It's the ability to pause instead of react, to listen instead of speak, to empathize instead of judge. These aren't flashy traits, but they are transformational. They build trust, and trust is the currency of all leadership. Another important point, people mirror what they see. If you want a motivated team, lead with passion. If you want honesty, show vulnerability. If you want strength, demonstrate perseverance. The way you carry yourself, especially in difficult moments, sets the tone, your mentality creates a ripple effect. And that ripple can either build people up or wear them down. Improving your mentality isn't a selfish pursuit. It's a responsibility. Because how you think shapes how you lead. And how you lead impacts the lives around you in ways you may never fully realize. So don't just work on your goals, work on your mind, because when you lead yourself well, you give others permission to do the same, and that's where real leadership and real change begins.